Welcome to the American Combustion Service Roundtable discussion today. We would certainly thank you for coming today and contributing your thoughts for the discussion. I am Sharice Kennerly, and I'm your facilitator for today. And I would like to take a moment for everybody to introduce themselves. Please state your name and your responsibility, as well as the company that you're representing today.
Andy Barrett, at one of the chief engineers, UIC, the East Campus.
Excellent.
Frank Bernanke, corporate engineer, Toronto Baking Company.
Ray Twason, I'm the manager of plant operations and utilities at Adventist Hinsdale Hospital.
And I'm Frank Lackney, hosting this roundtable discussion today. And I would like to say thank you for coming out this morning, and let's get started.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
As we all know, 2009 has certainly been a bit of a challenge for all companies. There was an awful lot of pullback in 2009 from companies wanting to really spend, absolutely so, between the costs that they would have to outlay and even the price cuts that potentially they would have to make. Companies were certainly doing everything they possibly can to maintain that bottom line, so profits were not going out of the store unnecessarily, and trying to maintain. As we all have seen with the high unemployment rate, lots of companies have done layoffs. They have almost get to the point of re-engineering their company in order to try to maximize their employees, maximize their expenses, and so forth. So what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about 2009, what companies have done, as well as the costs associated with that. It's one thing in 2009 when you have when you're pulling back, but when you begin to pull back for a long period of time, which almost becomes your new status quo, what are the results or the repercussions of that kind of decision? So now in 2010, as we begin, we're going to be exploring a little bit about, are companies going to stay in the status quo? Are they beginning to open up and spend a little, look at growth? Or are they going to remain conservative? And is there a cost associated with being that conservative yet for a long period of time? Thus the whole point of our discussion here and the theme of our meeting is the cost of doing nothing. And is there a cost of doing nothing? So, but we're going to focus strictly on the facility side, because facilities is absolutely a crucial element, not only for an investment point of the buildings, but also too for the care of the people that are working in it, the production, the patients, everything. So without you, certainly nothing would be working as efficiently, and people would have to be taking their attention away from what they do every day because this isn't working properly or this isn't working properly. So definitely you are a crucial element, but at what cost have you or other companies had to pull back, and how hard has that been? So let's begin by first discussing a little bit about the everyday, okay? We have, and many companies today have all sorts of processes that have been put into place, as you all have processes that have been put into place. But could those processes, and if people have been laid off within your departments or other companies' departments for facilities management, have companies adjusted to that? Have you adjusted to that, where somebody had to go, were your processes then reevaluated and said, okay, we need to do this and this, or is it just you take this responsibility and you take this responsibility, and that's how we're going to move forward until things kind of get better? So how would you like to begin? Would you like to talk about the state of what you think facilities are doing, or some examples of what you think may be going on?
I know at UIC, I mean, from our standpoint, 2009 has been pretty scary. We haven't hired anybody. We I mean, they've been talking about furlough days. My boss received 10 furlough days this year. A lot of the academic professionals are getting 4 furlough days now, and they've already started. But we're more worried about 2010 than 2009 because, I mean, the state hasn't given us the 400 million. I mean, we're in the whole $400 million for this year, and we're more worried about what's going to happen next year. What are the further cuts going to be? We had people that we thought were going to be hired this year that now there's a complete hiring freeze, and we know we're not going to get them.
Now, are the hirings as a whole, or is the hiring you're talking about within the facility?
Within the facility, so mostly the trades, whether it be engineers or plumbers, electricians, pipe fitters. There's a complete hiring freeze across the board for everybody. The only way anyone will be hired is if there was a verbal offer prior to the hiring freeze, or if the president of the university decides that this position is that important to the university.
So with 2010, so in 2009, there was definitely a pullback at UIC. How is that being now? So in other words, would you say that you're looking at 2010 and pulling back even further, or maintaining that status quo?
Well, the hard thing is you still have your customers that you have to answer to. Everything still needs to get completed, but now you just have to prioritize that much more and figure out, you're basically putting fires out every day, and it depends on, how important that issue is and how quickly you can actually deal with it.
So do you find yourself to be more on a defensive mode as opposed to being in a proactive mode?
Defensive.
Okay. Wow. How about you, gentlemen? What do you find?
I agree. In the food industry, 2009 was very, very hard. We anticipate a lot of the same struggles, at least in the early part of 2010. Obviously, you can't go to the customers with your annual increases. That's not going to happen. However, whether you have a facility with 6 production lines or 12 production lines, and as business slows down, you've got to regroup and you've got to collectively build your schedule to work the people on those lines that are running efficiently and effectively. Instead, if the lines used to run 6 days, 7 days a week, and some lines go 4 or 5 days, you have to consolidate all that together to maximize your efficiencies. And to your point also, you look for every possibility to do everything within, instead of bringing the outside contractors in as much as possible. Use your maintenance, your engineering staffs, because you just have to do that. You have to look for every possible resource from within without compromising quality, especially in a food product. So that's the last thing we want to touch is that.
But if the maintenance workers were already pretty busy before, how is this, how is this affecting the maintenance workers moving forward?
Well, because some of the lines slowed down, so to speak, and you've consolidated to the other lines, obviously you're stopping these sooner. You don't have as much maintenance on them, which opens up the time to pick up the outside contractors' work as much as possible.
Okay. What percentage do you see being able to kind of maximize, the outside people coming in that would normally, are you looking at like trying to maximize that, like, bringing that down to like only 50% or, 20%? What did you see in 2009, how you were able to consolidate that down?
Easily 50%. We recover easily.
Wow, that's great. And then what about for 2010? Maintaining?
Maintaining, we've looked at our projects. We're in a position where we have 4 facilities, 2 of them are out of state. What we'll do is we'll use all of our resources and bring people in, 2 or 3 people in from the other facilities. Actually, it benefits training also, because they get to work on different pieces of equipment, and they'll be learning the latest technology of the pieces that we're putting in. It'll give them a better handle on the whole company, and you have better control when you're working with your own people.